Hey guys, so today I'll be running through how I remade the song Bass Jumping. Saw it was kind of going viral on TikTok in the UK community. They love their Chris Stussy, their housey vibe, so I thought I would remake it, and this is what I got to in the end. There you go. I'll just quickly run through everything and show you pretty much how I did it. So I couldn't find the exact vocal that he used, but essentially it must be some sort of splice sample or something off the internet that he has taken, and essentially with this one it's pretty simple. He's just done some chopping. Jumpin'. And also some heavy panning. You can see just in the waveform here that it goes from right to left to right, in the middle there, right, left, a bit more central though, very far right, and then this is just panned slightly to the left. Jumpin'. Jumpin'. So I've taken that part, and essentially what he's done is he's taken the non-chopped part. He's basically chucked this vocal into a vocoder and put it in the same key as the rest of the song, so you'll hear with the bass it works very well. So those are the two vocals, and they work really well together. So 2 layers of vocals is very interesting because he's used this one as an ad-lib, but then he also uses it as a little fill here. And you can hear that's where a drop would come in. The next thing I'll move on to is this little 5th chord pattern over here. So I did have to fix this earlier, but oh my goodness. So essentially the chord progression sounds something like this. It's very simple, nothing too crazy. The sound on this one is from Diva. It's the MK90's Rave 5th. Nothing too crazy about it. It's pretty much a stock plugin that is used. And the progression pretty much goes here from the E, and then up here to the A, and then to the C, and then to the F, and then up here to the G. So it's pretty simple, and essentially on the second one he's just pitched these two down an octave, so it was like this, pitched them down. And it creates a little bit of variation, which is quite nice. Put some OTT on this with my classic stab preset, boosting a little bit of that high end, kept everything else the same except for the depth at 70 and the time at 49%. Tull reverb with room size of 0.64. Honestly, could be lower than that. It's not really as much needed, but then I kept the wet quite far down at negative 20.5 dB. Put some delay on that, lowered the feedback slightly, put the analog setting on, ducker down, wet out at 45, and then put some channel EQ on that at 65 Hertz, cut it, and lowered some of these high ends. And I'm just going to add that in now, but I'm lowering a bit of that 100 Hertz region. And it's pretty accurate already to what's in the song. Jumpin'. So it's already very nice as is. Then we put in the bass here. So in the original, he does put a very distorted sort of plucky bass line in. And it pretty much follows the synth line here, but added in some extra notes as well. So it starts again at the E, moves up here to the A, and then up here to the C. And something nice he's put in is this little choppy note that adds a bit of extra rhythm to it. And then he goes down here to the F, another F, and then up here to a G. So pretty simple, I'd say. It's nice syncopation between these two. Especially those last couple of notes here, they really syncopate very well. And altogether, that sounds like this.
Jumpin'. Jumpin'.
It's actually quite simple if you look at it from that way. The next thing I moved on to was the kick, of course. Oh, on the bass, actually. I'll run through what I did. I put Fem Basso on it. Very nice plugin. I did the Solid DX preset. Put some saturation on it, almost halfway, which is quite a lot, just to saturate the crap out of it. And then I'll push down the volume after, because he did have quite a distorted, punchy sound that ended up being quite soft in the mix, but you can hear that it's heavily distorted. So cutting it here at 40 Hertz, boosting this low end about around 100 Hertz, lowering this mid end, just because you can hear that there's quite a lot of it here actually, and you can see it as well. So I wanted to lower that by 2.5 dB and cutting at 2.3K. Yeah, so it comes up with a very nice sound. And then the kick, pretty standard housey kick, straight off splice. For saturation, put just a tad of it on, just to punch through the mix a bit better, and a high pass EQ at around 2000 Hertz. And the reason I'm high passing it is because I do have a higher kick here. So it's quite a high-endy sort of kick, and cut it here at 515. So there is a little bit of overlap between the two that punches through. So yeah, very nice. Didn't do any other processing to these kicks, and we'll move on to the hi-hat here, which I am just realizing hasn't copied over very well. Add one extra one in there and one extra one in here. This is just a little closed hi-hat. Very short, very high-endy. I didn't put any processing on it, but you can see already that it's very high-ended and fits in quite well. And then we move on to this one, which is an open hi-hat, which I pitched down actually by 1, just to match what the original had, and 0 other processing on it. Yeah, so it's super nice. And then a tight little clap here that fits into the mix very well. Like, these drums are super simple and housey. And the only thing I did to this was put some reverb on it. Slowed the room size quite a bit to 0.39 and the wet, just for it to follow through just like it did in the original mix. So really nothing special about those drums whatsoever. And then I put a little tambourine loop and layered it as well with a shaker loop. And also a little conga loop over here, which I also pitched up because the bongo's conga loop in the original song was very high, like the tonality of it. So I wanted to try and match that. And last but not least, we have these effects here. So one is a crash. Very standard, nothing too crazy about that. Literally just pasted that in straight from Splice. And then we've got a little white noise sort of rise over here. And that all pretty much just blends together like this. Oh, no, it's not gonna work. Okay. So yeah, like nothing too crazy. All those drums and effects together sound like this. So yeah, that's essentially the track. The last thing I want to mention is that I tried putting in an extra lead here that does work very well, but nothing, he didn't really put too many leads. He added one later on in the track, which is very simple. You can easily copy something like that. But I think leads in particular is something that you should try and not copy, rather come up with your own. But essentially a lot of what he did was create a 1-bar loop that slightly changes throughout. In this case, what I did was just play around with the sound from Diva. So this one was the narrow sequence preset. So you can see there's no processing on it. It's essentially just starting here on the E, just like the other ones. Going up here to the B, C, and then this one's the E, and then back down to the B, and this note here is an E as well. Very, very, very simple, and it works very well. And this is sort of what I want to point out about this house music is that it's super simplistic but really groovy, and there's got some good syncopated rhythms in there while also keeping it quite repetitive, which is really nice because you get a lot out of one idea. So you can add this song. It has a lot more sounds as it progresses throughout the song. It adds a pad in there as well. It adds a few other elements that are really nice. But I thought that, you know what, for the sake of a tutorial, I would rather point out that it's probably better not to copy leads and actually make your own and practice making your own funky leads. So yeah, that's pretty much the track. Nothing really else to say. Patreon link is in the bio and in my YouTube description and everywhere on my social media, so check that out if you want more in-depth stuff. And let me know if you guys want any other sorts of tutorials. I'd love to hear some recommendations of what you guys want that you're struggling with, and I'd love to help you guys out. And all of this will be downloadable through my Patreon except for these, as I don't want to infringe on copyright and sell other people's work. So everything other than these vocals will be up on my Patreon for download. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks.